Every October, the world gets a little stranger. We dress up, light candles, and try to feel something ancient again. For most of us, when we hear the word Transylvania, we think of vampires, because that's what the movie taught us. Films like Dracula, Van Helsing, Love at First Bite, and Hotel Transylvania turned a real region into a fantasy. But Transylvania isn't fiction. It's a place of craft, music, language, and landscape. A culture that's been alive far longer than the myths that use its name. It deserves to be seen for what it truly is. This is Field Notes, a love letter to curiosity and the curious, a series about the worlds people build and the meaning they make when no one's looking. Each note is a small discovery, a truth or fragment of wonder collected out in the world.
Today's Field Note, we began with an artist and comedian whose native country originated one of Halloween's most greatest myths or truths. Introducing Vermilion, an artist from Transylvania who somehow became a vampire expert, or can you fill us in?
I came to this country as a graduate student, and when I got my green card, I had to apply for it, and so I talked to the lawyer, and he told me that there is this thing, alien with exceptional qualities. I kid you not, this is how it's called. I'm a Martian or from Venus, and that the American government wants to have welcomes foreigners who contribute culturally or scientifically with something that American people don't have yet. So they don't have anybody who can claim a real Transylvania heritage is willing to talk about the reality there.
That is so cool. And you can authentically speak, like you're literally from Transylvania, right?
Yeah, it's a county. Many people don't know. It's a geographically region that a while ago used to be an independent state. We had an autonomous government, but history is such that now we are part of Romanian state. We were part of Hungary. We were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And the borders keep on drifting left and right, but we are there. It's a multicultural society. People speak 2-3 languages in their family.
What languages do they usually speak?
Well, they speak Hungarian, they speak Romanian, Gypsy people speak Romani language, and then you have also Saxons, which are a kind of German.
When did you realize that Transylvania meant something completely different to Americans?
Well, it was in Hungary as my undergrad studies, and I worked simultaneously as a journalist. I was part of the editorial offices of 2 American-owned newspapers. A lot of American journalists and writers would come to Budapest and use it in a launching pad to go around Eastern Europe on weekends or whatever. So my colleagues were mainly American journalists. And so, of course, it started. I was flabbergasted that they of them were really keen on talking about vampire things.
Your coworkers just randomly, like you said Transylvania, and they automatically started talking about vampires?
Well, as I said, to me, Transylvania is a political issue. So I make sure when I introduce myself, well, not from, if we go deeper and they start asking me where I am from, I always made sure at that point in time to say that I am from Zalău, which is my hometown, and it's an obscure enough little town that geographically, so I don't feel embarrassed when I say that they don't know where Zalău. Yeah. And then I would say, well, Zalău is in a county that's called Sălaj, it's the poorest in Romania, and that county is in the geographical region of Transylvania. And so when I would say that, didn't like the fact to announce myself that I'm a Romanian, because I'm not. I'm Romanian, I'm Hungarian, I'm Gypsy, and I'm Bulgarian. I wanted to be really specific. But, Transylvania, vampires. Still, it's nicer to be in a conversation, to have somebody smile on you because of wrong reasons, but still, it's a nice breaker, no?
People probably automatically imagine fog and fangs, Transylvania, but what? It's not like that. So what was
yeah,
it?
It is like that. We have a lot of fog.
Real of the movies is right. They were right on the cinematography.
We have we are beautiful scenery. We have mountains and valleys, and the fog is nesting there. But mountain. The movie called Mountain.
Oh yeah, Nicole Kidman.
Right.
Yes.
So it was shot there with Transylvanian soldiers. They were conscripted, and they performed your. So the scenery is right. And thanks, we have a lot of stray dogs, unfortunately, and that even the main cities they roam the cities in packs. People now they try to handle it better, but when I grew up, there was no sterilization of animals. They would just throw the puppies in the street and then they would fend for themselves.
And there is fangs because of the dogs running around.
And even the Dracula was a nobleman, so he was in the leadership, in the higher echelons of society. Now, we had a communist dictator. Didn't draw blood, but he almost killed us because we were so hungry. There was no food, in the apartments. You could not travel. You could not speak your mind. So it was dictator. It was suppression. It was killing us alive.
So it's almost like Dracula was a metaphor for.
Yeah. So should I talk about my photo exhibition?
Yes, all about it.
All right. So, as I said, I came as a graduate student here, and when I saw that it's unstoppable, these questions about vampires, and said, I'm gonna go home now, and I'm gonna take pictures of my people and of the scenery there, and I'm gonna have a show, and I'm gonna try to do my bit to demonstrate that are real people. And that's also it was irritating because gradually after 89 started Hollywood started to have an impact business they started to create all kinds of vampire balls and vampire tours and vampire souvenirs and it was degrading to me.
Oh,
And so,
interesting. Right.
and then I took photographs and then I had an exhibition there and then they took me their talk shows and it was funny that always would talk about this and that, but there was always there, and there was a twinkle in their eyes. Anchor said, "Are there really vampires in Transylvania?"
Right.
And it was as if I talked nothing for 15 minutes here, and it was always there.
Yeah, Transylvania are people too, and they're just like, how about the fangs?
And let alone, don't know if it's time to have a discussion about cultural appropriation because. You are doing all this vampire stick. You are talking about Transylvania, but nothing gets bank transferred. No money go county's bank account.
That's so interesting. Yeah, you went back there. You took some photos. Did you just approach them doing a story about how people in Transylvania are people and not vampires? Was that
Exhibition?
More about the exhibition.
Well, it was beautiful photographs. It came out that I'm also a writer, so I for story. And my photographs always had a story, and people found them interesting to look at and probably to relate. But it was also one visitor, he said that many of them have faces that their life created these kind of faces that they would have rather not have them. It was a bit of a paradox.
Wait, could you say that again?
So their faces were really interesting to look at because they've been through a lot. And so they had expressions you don't see probably.
Through some stuff, it changes you.
Here people try to be cheery. How are you? Oh, excellent.
All just trying to escape.
Right, but there they tell you. If you ask them, they tell you. I don't know that they have urinary bladder infection or something. They just tell you for real.
That's up my alley too because I'm sick. Don't mind me. I'm feeling sick, so they understand if I'm low energy or whatever. But sometimes people here act like it's rude. They want to hear, great, and then move on. But I respect the realness because it helps you learn about them, you know.
I
So
think from what I read is they are afraid of emotional dumping. You're gonna dump on them your traumas.
Erica, what's wrong with people? That's what we're here for, is to. Anyway, I could go off.
So vampires.
Back to vampires. Did the photos start to catch on? Were they in a museum and one journalist wrote a story and then it.
Modest. First, it was in a church, but a church that had regular exhibitions. It was a community making event, but then I wanted visibility for this issue of me being from Transylvania and my son going to school and kids picking on him that crap. And so I said, well, maybe I need to be a bit more vocal about it and more daring about it. So I sent press releases to all the media outlets. And the main newspaper, The Advocate, I came and he did a 3-page on me and my pictures. And so it was rewarding. So from there, word went out. They even flew me to Chicago to have a show there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny.
That
And
is
then
so
when I moved
cool.
to the East Coast here, I had it all over the place in galleries. Lately, you switch totally to theater and improvisation, and it's time to pick it up again. Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, Vermilion, fabulous improviser. Check out the shows on the IG. What's your IG, by the way, so people can follow you?
Well, it's vermilion.nyc, so it's Vermilion with one L.
Back to vampires. So that's really cool that your pictures are helping communicate the reality and not some cartoon of. What is one thing that people get wrong about Transylvania? Like, main thing.
Well, they really think we are imaginary. That's what they always tell me, that, really, are you kidding? I said, no, I'm not kidding. I thought it's all imaginary. No, it's not imaginary. And you have solo show. You get informed by the way you expect with vampires to have some gore, to have some darkness there. But we indeed have a lot of dark humor. You talk about unbearable stuff, but we laugh about it. And so I pepper through my shows little moments of horror that I'm not shy of presenting them, because I don't do it for the sake of people, but just because it's part of the realities I talk about.
So you had critically acclaimed because you had journalists, you're published. You still do any of that?
Bona fide visual artist that creates installations and curates shows. You work with the gallery. But on my theater enterprises, for the first time, my first show that I keep on doing, in which I tell stories about my family and about society. But I now come out with a second show in which interviewed a lot of real people that their stories were really telling to me from Transylvania. And some of the interviews, I turned them into monologues. So this coming show is a lot of those voices. It is again being back. That's why I thought that this might be an interesting plug for me, that I have this show in the Gotham Storytelling Festival.
And when is that?
It's on November. I have it just twice. I have it on I think Thursday, November the 6th. It's at 9 p.m.
Where do they buy tickets?
Or they just show up at the door. And the other one is on Saturday, November 15th or 16th at 5 o'clock. And it's under St. Mark's Place. And as I said, in the Gotham Storytelling Festival. So that's
So cool. So you took your interviews from the people of Transylvania and turned it into a monologue. That's going to be so cool.
Yeah, they all are part of bigger pieces, separately are standalone. But
That's going to be so good. Anything else you want to talk about? Or
you asked a question about myths and about folklore. I'll tell you about, we don't have vampires. What we have, when I grew up with, and it was part of our lore, and it was a real fear in the village, we have cattle, so they have cows and they
Oh.
rely on the cows giving milk. And so they had this imaginary being called strigoi or moroi.
Wait, so, oh, how do you say it?
Strigoi. I'm gonna spell it out for you in
Yeah.
writing. I'm gonna give it to you. And they beings are not sucking the blood out of people or out of cows, but are sucking the cows dry. They don't have milk afterwards, and that's troublesome for a family of peasant people who rely on it. So
Yeah.
that's as far as goes with the strigoi, but they are not eroticized. They would say, how do you know when somebody is a strigoi? How do you know? Well, as you look at their feet, if they have hooves, then they are strigoi, or if they have tails, but cow tails, devil in a way, no?
They're Jersey. We have the Jersey Devil, but wait, no, it's so. Okay, so myth in Transylvania, it's nothing to do about vampires. It's about Stragor, and they have hooves, and the
Well,
fear is that they milk the cows so they're dry and have
yeah.
no milk, and that sounds terrifying because it's how you live. You know, food, shelter, and if you don't have the income, then you don't have food or shelter.
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying, but it's just a myth.
It's just a myth, but I'm saying the feeling you guys have towards vampires, that you are terrified but also excited about it. Somehow it had a grain of reality, but in this folklore. Also, it says that that's about. I know that there are, I don't know if certain periods of the year when they are afraid of them not coming into your house. So they put in the windows, they put wild rose stems, thorns, so that they can't come in.
So it kind of reminds me of some buildings have gargoyles to away spirits or whatever. So if I walk in Transylvania and I see rose thorns, that is connected to the myth of
I
Durigo.
want them to. By now, you guys know that there was Dracula is actually Vlad Tepes, and he was really loved, and he was thought very patriotic because he fought against the Turks Empire, and he care of business of anarchy. There was a lot of theft going on, so he was a thief. He would cut the thief,
Oh my
and
gosh.
if he would do it again, he would cut the arm.
Does any part of Transylvania embrace and capitalize on the whole Transylvania thing? Like in the tourism, I'll be like, all right, we're going to embrace it. We're going to have a little downtown with all vampire stuff. Do they have that?
Well, they yes, now, as I said, they have a castle where Vlad Tepes lived shortly, and they have souvenirs for masks.
Is
They
it
have
big or
tours
just like
now.
a strip of stuff? I was obsessed with Dracula, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to plan a trip to Transylvania. Would it be worth it? Not really, right?
Well, they would just play you back what movies. They would have vampire balls for you. They would have tours, but at least you'll see the reality if you venture to see the beauty, historical buildings that we have there.
It's like they rob themselves in a way because that's the whole beauty of Transylvania,
they
which
even
has nothing to do about Dracula or vampires.
They even wanted to do like a version of Disneyland vampire thing there, but people opposed, so then it didn't go anywhere.
What are some good takeaways? What food to get? If I was to go there and just enjoy Transylvania, what's there to eat? I'm so much good food.
Well, there is a lot of traditional food that now come to think of it. Many of it is Turkish by influence. Stuffed cabbage that
I love
in all
eggplant.
kinds of ways. We are big on polenta, on sausages. We are big on soups. We eat every meal has soup in it. Meals usually.
That's lovely. House or coffee? Every place I
We
go, I have to have good coffee. But
well,
if not, that's okay.
don't know Western brands now there, but they are big on Turkish coffee.
With
from
the metal
Arabic,
thing.
yeah.
And what else could I do if I went to visit Transylvania not related to Dracula? Maybe what about parks? Are there good nature things, animals?
There are a lot. There are forests. It's unfortunately it's a lot of Westerners coming on hunting trips.
What kind of animals you guys have?
Well, like here we have bears, we have deer, We have rabbits and birds. The climate is like here.
Oh, the Four Seasons? That sounds cozy to go there. What is one of the most.
One
Oh,
thing that is at this time of year, if you go, especially in the cities, everywhere they sell pumpkin pastry, and it smells so beautiful.
I'm obsessed with pumpkin. And your most beautiful memory of Transylvania?
Well, I was really a lot in nature. We have forests there, and they are beautiful forests. I miss very much.
You guys have wildflowers?
Yeah, wildflowers. Well, King Charles, when he was just a prince, he has two properties in Romania, and he would give interview about how we are not aware what a treasure that is that we have wildflowers. So, what else about it? I really loved, and it disappears, and it gets shoddier. The folk attires. People are almost every village has a different style of folk attires, and they are really extravagant. That the wigs are so heavy. They are made of hemp. The original costumes, they would have these dances, how you would call it, and that when they would whirling around, the skirts would hit down kids who were looking on the side. There's a
Wear that just for special events?
well, the
Weddings?
events includes one's life, weddings and funerals, but also going to church, dressing up. But then, as I
Well, maybe I'll have to go to Transylvania, get myself a pumpkin pastry, some Turkish coffee, go to the forest. Yeah, that's magic.
out, hiking, and they also have biking tours. There is a mixture, real good stuff.
Well, thank you. And then before we wrap, I always like to ask this. If I were to write something in my notebook about to take away from today, what would you say?
Come to see my show.
Yes. Everybody go check out Vermilion Show. Follow her on Instagram at vermilion.nyc for all the information. You are doing amazing things. Thank you for sharing your story. That was so interesting from beginning, middle, end.